You're cutting a little closer, aren't you, sir?
Done? Okay.
I like to be efficient with my time. I like to waste my time on my own.
Okay, well, let's see here. I guess I'll call the Board of Supervisors meeting to order. As always, would please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. So let the record show that we do have a quorum with all members present. So the first order of business would be adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda from the board or staff?
Mr. Chairman, I wish to request the board to omit item number 6. Ms. Richards will present those certificates at the July meeting.
All right. To July. All right. Anything else, Mr. Weekly? No, sir. Anything from the board? All right, very well. We'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
All right, very well. We're having a motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. Okay. First, public comment. Period. And nothing back there. Seeing none in the audience. Seeing none coming over the internet. We'll close public comment, and we'll do it again at the end. Okay, next item is the consent agenda. I think I might have said this before, but I think for the public's, for transparency with the public and all, we ought to have explanations on the supplemental appropriations and discussion, and then if everything is fine, then we can approve the consent agenda like you ordinarily would. But if there was something we want to pull out to vote on separately, we can do that as well. So we have the approval of the minutes of 6/9/2026, which everybody was here. Mr. Weekly, you want to go over the supplemental appropriation number 40?
Yes, and Mr. Gordon and I will tag team these. Both of them have to deal with Hoover Ridge Park. So the first one you had before you may recall that the Thompson Foundation was so kind to give a pretty large donation. So we received the first half, which went in primarily for the playground, and maybe some other incidentals over, which if you haven't seen it yet, it looks great. Lindsay put out a video yesterday. I thought it was AI until I saw the construction traffic in the back. It was that crisp. It looks great. So this would be taking in additional monies that was provided through the Walton Thompson Foundation, as well as monies that was approved recently from Parks and Rec Authority's meeting. So Brian, I'll let you speak to any details.
Yeah, if you'll recall, the price tag on that splash pad was originally $872,000. When they called back to refresh the quote when we got ready to do it, it was $956,000. And that was after we elected to take the color concrete out of it. Had the color concrete stayed in it, it was going to be over $1 million. So the prices have exploded on that. Parks and Rec had the residual funding there on top of the Thompson Foundation, and then the $70,000 to get ready to install it was a change order for Walls Construction Company. So there's a lot of moving pieces here, and I know it feels like piecemealing, but we're completely dependent at this point on somebody giving us money to do the things, which we've been very fortunate to have done.
So just to clarify, this will get the splash pad going, but like you said, the
To an
prep work as well.
To an extent. What we did on the change order originally came in at $140,000 because it had a tremendous amount of concrete around that splash pad. We also had a $30,000 grinder pump that had to be installed to be able to evacuate the water off of that system. We elected not to do that right now. There's a sump pump that comes with the splash pad. We think it's got enough head pressure to get it up the line, but it may not. But at this point, we've got to get this way. If we're going to get it, we got to get it now, because who knows where these prices are going, the way things have been going over the last 18 months, 24 months.
Right.
And we've got that money there that Thompson specifically earmarked for this project. So we couldn't use it for, lighting or safety rails or things of that nature.
Well, I would like to just add, okay, so everybody sees, there's two checks in here. There's $872,000 check and a $60,000 check. Well, the 872 is made up of the 862 from the Thompson Foundation.
Correct.
Plus 10 that came from Support Hoover Ridge together.
Correct.
All right? And the Parks and Rec Authority, a check for 60 grand, is made up of all the money that they have been earning with music in the park and the fundraiser they had in February and all their events that they've been collecting.
Right.
So that was earned, and that's pretty significant for them to earn that kind of money.
Right, and
with their events.
And if you add the numbers up, they don't match to the 70,000 plus 956. We realized that because the original half of the check that came in from Thompson Foundation was about $90,000 more than we needed for the playground, so that money's
At
already
that
there.
time, yes.
Right, so that it's kind of connected to the Dodge type mechanism.
Okay, so does the board have any questions for Brian or Jonathan on this supplemental? Basically.
Kind of, does this, so is there another, being this is two checks, one was issued when?
The one was issued about 3 weeks ago, then the other one was issued after PRA voted to do so last meeting. The 60,000, the original check was with the Thompson Foundation second half, and then plus $10,000 from the Support Hoover Ridge Foundation. Then PRA board voted to put the $60,000 on top of it.
Right. Gotcha.
And it wasn't quite 3, I think it was a week and a half. It was a week before the last PRA meeting.
Yeah, it's dated the 3rd of
Yeah.
June.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions on this one?
I have a tangential question, I guess. Brian, just, and this number might be somewhere, but where, in ballpark figure, what additional money do we need to finish Hoover Ridge to where we want it to be?
Prior to this splash pad going in, the number was between 1.4 and 1.6. It's a loaded question because until you actually bid this stuff out,
Right.
escalation, 3%, 6%, whatever you're using, really it's a null point right now. With the tariffs and everything that's out there, things are kind of crazy. Once we get this in, we're looking at lighting. Now, we've gotten 2 quotes from lighting on that entire park. One of them was a gentleman's handshake, came in at $90,000. The other one was from Musco Lighting, who lights up ball fields, stadiums, things of that nature. That number was well over $600K. Then you're looking at hard surfacing for the parking lots, simply because you're dealing with all this infrastructure with pumps, strainers, filters on that splash pad. You don't want to be filling that up with gravel, grit, and dust over time. It's bad enough with the mowing that's going to occur. But those are the big things, the lighting, the hard surfacing, bathrooms, concession stand. Once we get this in, the number's going to be close to $1 million.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Now, one thing we're looking at, instead of pavement out there, I really think we can get by with tar and chip. You're looking at about 1/3 of the cost. You are going to have to maintain it more often, but if you have to redo it twice in a 20-year span, you've still saved money over paving. We got to do some research on that, make sure it makes sense. We don't want to throw good money after bad. We are going back to the Thompson Foundation in November with some better numbers to try to get that. Our biggest thing we're trying to do now, and we're meeting a guy tomorrow, is trying to get lighting to that hockey rink and lighting on the pathway so that they can play hockey this fall. I don't know if you've been out there to do that. That group has done a tremendous job getting that stuff together.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else from the board on this one? All right, then let's go on to supplemental appropriation number 41.
And this one, Mr. Chairman, kind of plays into what Mr. Gordon was just talking about, that kind of the next approach. If you all like what you heard about approving the funds that will go towards the splash pad, these are funds what I call unrealized revenues. Anytime you have monies come in that you weren't projecting, a donation, more sales tax than what you projected, or in this case, when we disposed of county surplus property, We had several patrol vehicles. The old Mercedes ambulance was part of this. So it generated a little over 68,000, as you can see. So there's options there. You know, you can let it go to the fund balance, or you could determine is there a need or a use for it. And knowing that there's a big push to get lights for hockey, you know, what we would recommend is that the board allow that money via supplemental to be put into that Hoover Ridge Outdoor Recreation Project. I will meet with Valley Automation tomorrow, who's under contract with the county when we put out RFP for different trade services. Electrical was one with them. So we can at least get some kind of idea of where we're at on lighting, the expectations. Not only be able to convey that back to this board, but to convey it to hockey, because we realize it's going to be a combination, as it has been throughout this process, whether it's PRA, a donor, the county, or in this case, hockey. Hockey's already put up a substantial amount in the past. So I think this would be a good faith effort in making it a realization to have hockey. They can have a fallback point on that rink. I went over to the old rink, or the current rink, this past week, because someone was run a clinic out of it. And, I mean, there's an adult league, I think, plays on Friday, but it would need some things if they were to stay out there in advance of their fall season. So I think it's a good use of money. You've already somewhat committed to the project. The county has, over the course, when this project started, I think in 22 or 23, you have just under $1 million invested in it, between engineering and site work and storm pond, things of that nature. So I think it's money well spent. At least that's the staff's recommendation.
Right.
Staff being Brian and myself.
All right, very well.
Anything you want to add, Mr. Gordon?
No, sir.
All right, well, I certainly support staff's recommendation to direct these proceeds from the sale of surplus property towards Hoover Ridge. It represents a community-focused and reinvestment of public assets. It also, in my opinion, supports economic and community development goals. Parks and rec amenities are drivers of local economies, vitality. It attracts families, supports youth programs, enhances the county's appeal to prospective residents and businesses. It hosts tournaments, events, gatherings that bring people into Madison. So in my opinion, this is pretty straightforward, a fiscally responsible decision. So we're reinvesting the proceeds into a project that directly benefits our families and our children and our community. So, in businesses, yeah, absolutely. So I'm in favor of staff's recommendation here.
I'll add something to that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Jewett.
Can't get the button pushed. I agree with everything that you said, Mr. Chairman, and just following on the comments from Mr. Gordon with regard to projected costs. This is one of these deals where the longer this goes, the worse it's going to get and the harder it is to get done. So I think we are going to have to redouble our efforts to try to get the Hoover Ridge project completed as quickly as we can, as reasonably as we can. But also, I agree that this money's coming back, and that's a good place for it, rather than just having it sit in fund balance.
Yeah. Who else? Joe?
So
Nancy?
did y'all consider the money going, was there any other needs anywhere else before you decided on this particular thing?
So there are needs in the county. What I guess I would say, the needs generally which fall in your capital plan, most of those are funded either through the short-term debt financing you did last fall or through your annual budget process. So this was one that's ongoing project, but again, to lights, it's like, how do you even go about funding it? So that's how it rose to priority number one, in my opinion.
Just to follow up on that too, as far as the hockey goes, one of the questions that came up in my mind earlier today when I was going through this, so does the hockey represent just Madisonians, or do people from other counties come in and part of this hockey league?
So the clinic I was just at, and I'll let Brian speak to it because he's a product of the youth hockey. I missed out, apparently. I played basketball. But they had folks from Warrenton and a few other counties when they were doing this clinic. So my understanding, one of the adults who came up through that league plays professionally overseas. They recommended the type of flooring that goes down. They said it's world-class tiles, that there's no doubt you're going to attract people, not only within the state of Virginia, but outside. But I'll let Mr. Gordon, the hockey player, speak to that.
Use that term lightly. Yes, it will. Up until this point, they have not hosted any tournaments. But I've talked to hockey on several different occasions. It was mainly because of the size of the rink they were at, parking, access, things of that nature. With this park, they do intend to. And I was out there about 3 weeks ago looking at the new barn, work with the contractor on that. And there was two ladies that walked up, and both of them were international inline hockey players who had driven down here from some state up north. They had heard about it. They were interested in seeing what it looked like and playing. I don't know if they thought it was going to be a league or whatever, but it drew them here to take a look at it. Now, I foresee in the future that it will start bringing some folks into it. The hockey is a huge thing. They travel all over the place. They've got a travel league, travel team, a domestic team, I call it. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of people come to us rather than us going to them all the time.
Okay, that's not, I just wondered
Right.
how this was gonna come back economically to the county.
And, I've been running with travel sports for about 12 years now, and I can tell you, once it gets started, it's almost like a wildfire. You're gonna have people coming in here from all over the place, and if they find places to stay, Airbnbs, restaurants to eat at, I do see a spark coming there.
The commissioners or those who've been past commissioners involved in this, they have pretty good connections. I mean, with the Washington Capitals, I think they have given, or at least someone that Mr. Artelli had contact with, there's been a few $10,000 checks that come in just from those connections. One of the things, to Mike's point about economic or tourism, is I'm gonna come back to you at some time. I wanna, get some pricing on some information signs, and then propose that to the TOC committee as a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to put up some information signs to basically say, hey, Hoover Ridge Park, this way. We don't have that now. I'm sure folks learn, as Brian said, through word of mouth, but I also think having those informational or those destination signs along 29 could help point people to the right direction where we want to be for economic benefit.
So they can all stay in that hotel like you want.
I would love to have it. Talk to Carlisle. I think they looked at that property one time, but we would love to have a hotel.
Yeah. Mr. Buchanan?
Yeah, I was gonna just jump on something Brian said, but this affects businesses. I'm on the EDC committee. This affects businesses that we're not even thinking about yet. But the fact that if we get this up and running, I've spoken to some hotel people about building hotels in Madison, and right now, economically, they're like, no, it's not making any sense. But if we do this and other things, then there might be a hotel popping up. There will be, coming in, and we could attract. So not just that, it's the restaurants, it's everything else that's in our area that would benefit from the people coming in. So I support it as well.
Yeah, Nancy?
Well, I'm one that I get tired of construction real fast, especially when you have to live in it. But I'm really looking forward to this being finished and watching the video that was on Facebook and seeing, I need to go over there and see it myself, but just looking at that today, I'm just like, this is beyond awesome. I mean, it's gonna be so fun. It's gonna build so many memories, and I'm with you all, though, in time is of essence, and the finances, we have to get it done now. And I would really, like I said, I hate construction, and it needs to be done for our community, needs, as soon as possible. And I know you guys are doing that, but I'm just saying, it looks like, real close to the end. So let's do it. That's it.
Yeah, once this splash pad goes in, for all intents and purposes, the park itself, the surfacing is done. It's the little things, the handrails went in this week on the stairs that Jamie had to have there for people to climb up and down those. Splash pad is done, that surface is done. The rest of it is green space between the basketball court and the splash pad, and then from the pickleball court to the playground. That was designed green space from the word go. It's just getting the things in there, like the lighting and things of that nature. We've got a ways to go, but we're a heck of a lot closer than I thought we would be.
I'm sorry, I just want to bring up a lot about the lighting. I was going to be kind of before, down lighting, right?
Correct, 100%, 100%.
All right.
Yeah, we're not trying to make a circus tent.
Doesn't need to be on unless you're out there.
Yeah,
I have one more comment.
yeah, certainly.
Mr.
Jewett.
Chairman, I have another comment. It's probably going to get me run out of the county. But, you know, Mr. Gordon, as you're making the plans to apply for grants and whatnot, would it not be justifiable to also consider the county issuing debt to complete the project?
If you so see fit.
Well, I think we ought to look at the analytics and the modeling and see how much we'd have to borrow, what the terms were, what an estimated payback would be, and what our savings would be doing it this year versus 5 years from now, which we know is just going to be prohibitive.
What we're looking at there is getting a hardline quote, is talking with Walls and seeing all the things we would have to do to complete that, talking with the electrical contractor, seeing everything we have to do to complete that, inside the remaining sidewalks, all of those things, and see what that number looks like, which is what I was looking at to do anyway for the Thompson Foundation. Tom, we're looking at a bunch of money. We asked for 1.4 in the April, and we didn't get it, because that was the idea. If we can get enough money to turnkey this thing, get rid of it, not get rid of it, but get rid of the project, get it
Complete
turned
it,
over,
yeah.
get it
Right.
completed. And that's the plan if we can make that work.
To your point, quick feedback. To your point, Mr. Jewett, we certainly consider that, like Brian said, you know, try to get as firm number as we can. I guess if that's what we want to look at, we do need to consider sometime in the future, and Ms. Warren is here tonight, but we'll talk about it in an upcoming meeting at some point. We have to term out, meaning we have to, you know, establish a long-term fixed rate, preferably, on the $4 million that was borrowed last fall. Right now, we're paying interest only. I think the initial recommendation from Davenport was to term it out, I think, for like a 7-year period. So certainly, if you're looking at, you know, newer debt, it would be good to consolidate that all at one time. So when you close, you have that included. But I think maybe the next step is, you know, get some hard numbers, and then we can have a conversation with Davenport to kind of get some numbers together for you all to consider.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have the hard numbers on what it would cost, but also an estimate of what the return on the investment might be, you know, what it's gonna generate out there. Because I'm telling you, the few baseball tournaments that I've been out there to see, I was in Subway one time a couple of years ago, and Subway was packed with all these kids from Sterling. They were down here for a baseball tournament, and they were paying, you know, there was tons of teams out there. You got your aunts, uncles, grandparents, everybody was there. The place was packed. So all that kind of stuff is a huge generator.
You know, I think it falls into the EDC because Mr. Gordon, who's a member of the EDC, is in charge of the Hoover Ridge Development Project. So those numbers, we could assist him with those estimates and get that prepared for the board in the future.
All right?
I
I'm
have
sorry,
one
Nancy.
question. I was just gonna ask you, with the Thompson Foundation, did you ask for that 1.4?
We did, and they said kind of try to refine it. It was a big number.
It is a big number,
Yeah.
and I think if you play heavy on language of the children,
We did.
and you did, okay, because I'm just like, don't give up.
No.
Because the 1.4 you're asking for then is different than what you'd be asking for
Cor-
now, you know, so.
Correct. The Thompson Foundation, it would be hard pressed to find another foundation that's done as much good for Madison County in the last 5 or 6, certainly 10 years. They just replaced the fire department air packs. They've done a lot for the American Legion. They've done a lot for a lot of folks. And
Some
they've,
of the
with this, we're looking at what, 1.6 ballpark that they've, so it's, they've done a lot of good. And we asked, tried to really get in there on that, because it is for the kids, and it's for the community. But I think that at the end of the day, they're trying to do as much good as they can across the board, and as fairly as they can, and I can appreciate that. But we're certainly gonna go ask again, and if we can supplement, you know, if we decide, whatever way we decide to go, I think there's an avenue there to get something.
Right, and even if that's in the future, maybe we could borrow that money just short term, I don't know.
Sure.
I don't like the idea of borrowing money, but
Well, first step, like Mr. Wiggly said, is to firm up some numbers and know exactly what we're looking at. The problem is those numbers last about 30 days and they change.
Right, right, I understand, yeah, but thank you for all you do.
All right, so back to the consent agenda. Now, if the board is comfortable with approving the consent agenda in totality, then I'll entertain a motion for that. Otherwise, ask to have something pulled out, and we'll vote on that separately. So entertain a motion or discussion, or further discussion on this.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve supplemental appropriation number 40 and supplemental appropriation number 41.
And what about the minutes? You want to pull the minutes out
No,
separately?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. of
Okay,
6/9,
so the consent agenda
2026.
in totality.
Correct.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second? Second. All right, very well. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in further discussion on this? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, very well, motion
Thank you, Mr.
carries.
Chairman, for a good discussion.
Yeah, that's good. There's a lot going into this. All right, so the next order of business is the public hearing. Let's see, am I right there? No special appearances. Public hearing on the transit occupancy tax proposed amendment 2026-11. Mr. Weekly.
Mr. Chairman, before we start, I've been advised that I should just let the board know that I do have a potential interest because I do own an Airbnb and Hip Camp properties. And also that I'm part of a larger group. I've talked to people that do have Airbnbs and VRBOs and Hip Camps. So, but I do feel like I can still be, that can still be fair in my voting. So I'd like to just let everybody know that.
Okay. All right, very well.
Because I'm a wrestling fan, we are going to triple threat this. We have myself and Mr. Wright and Mr. Daniel, our commissioner, here tonight. They checked through that to make sure, obviously, we're applicable to the code. So there are two things that are being proposed here tonight for your public hearing. Again, this is a public hearing. You may recall we re-advertised because not only we're looking to accomplish to codify your transaction tax rate, which you established during your budget process, increasing that to 1%. So that's an increase going from 5% to 6%, by 1%. So instead of a 5% tot tax, you now be 6%.
Right.
It's an even split, 3% to the county, 3% to the tot fund, which can only be used for tourism type of things. So that is in the first part of this section. I believe that is section 24-129. The second part, and I'll let Hannon and or Mr. Daniel go into, it had to do with an accommodation portion. Because back before Airbnb and VRBO and all these folks that are now required to report to the state, there was some administration of remittance that had to be done, and there was a fee that went along with that. So that part of the ordinance, which is section 24-131, I would like the commissioner and Hannon, if they have anything they would like to add, so it's clear to the board as well as the public of what this ordinance amendment is recommending for changes. Gentlemen?
Very well. Mr. Wright, you want to talk about the levy, the first part of it at least?
Sure, they're moving from 5% to 6%. Yeah, so it's a 1% increase. It'll be 3% to the general fund, 3% towards tourism. Then the next part of this is going to be, it does eliminate that $100 remittance for paying on time. It also adds a recent statutory amendment regarding the attestation. That's the new proposed subparagraph B. And then finally, it adds a couple of definitions from the Virginia Code up in 24-129. I think Mr. Daniel can talk a little bit more intelligently about, I think he said it was about 6,600 annually was the amount that came from the $100, but I'll turn it over to him unless there's.
Well,
questions.
I've got
Yeah, sure.
one question for you, Hannah. Let's see, under 131B, it would be, start about fourth line down. Such attestation shall be effective for 12 months, beginning with the month in which the attestation is made, and thereafter, such attestation shall be due annually on a, and my question is, on a date determined by the locality. Now, would that be Brian's office of Commissioner of Revenues to set that date, or the board?
I think we could do it either way. I don't know if Mr. Daniel has it. We could even set it in this statute if we want, but I think
Well-
usually we want a little more flexibility with that.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading it as, why, so they gotta come in and attest to this, and then looks like, why isn't it sufficient that every 12 months, let's see, Brian, would they attest again, or it just automatically renews? It just automatically renews on an annual basis? You got an opinion on that? Y'all-
Right, my understanding of the intent would be to, annually they would attest.
They would come
So
into
they
your
would fill
office
out
and
that,
attest?
Is that based on when they start operating?
Yeah.
Is that based on it's gonna be the same date every year for everybody?
But I think we would do it on the same date. I mean, my idea would be May 1st, when the personal property, when the business returns are due. We just, the people that participate in an accommodations provider, they would turn in their attestation when they turn in their personal property form.
So what do you think, y'all have that up there, right? It says, on a date determined by the locality, attestations shall be due annually on May 1st every year, or,
I mean, I think if you leave it as determined by the locality, we can make
we can do it later?
a housekeeping or a policy that says
Okay.
they're due May 1st.
That's fine.
I mean, and then I feel like, I think that meets the intent of the code, but.
Yeah.
But I'll let, that's probably more
Anybody
up
else?
at Hannah's alley than mine.
I just have a quick question. So the intermediary, are they already sending the money into you from what they collect from the boarders or the
Correct.
people
They've been
renting?
doing that since, when was that? 3 or 4 years now, that they've been automatically remitting, what they collect on the,
I know they do it with the state. I mean, I've been able to do that with the state. I didn't know I could do that with the county. So I've been paying it all, the county taxes every month, just as an example. So you're saying that I could just have them pay the county directly and I don't have to pay? I just have
Correct.
to do these?
that's correct. They should be automatically doing that.
Well, then I've been paying twice.
Come see me.
Yeah.
We'll get you, yeah.
Oh, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they have, but they could be.
Right. I think we tried to go through and identify anybody that may be paying twice. But
Okay.
we'll check in on that.
All right, yeah. But it'd be easier for me if that was the case, or to anybody, instead of
Correct,
me
and that was the,
sending a check every month.
that was the intent. If you're participating with one of the larger
Yeah, like
intermediaries,
Airbnb.
the code actually says that they shall remit to the locality.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of legislative things and policy making at the General Assembly level between the big players and the localities. VACO and Corpac and things were in on this. But eventually, so we've now gotten to the Commissioner of Revenue Association wanted the annual attestation. And so some of that, Airbnb wanted to button down what information we could share with other departments within the locality. So they worked that out, and they got that in the code the last session.
Okay.
And so that's where this attestation came from, was, hey, basically, you're gonna sign saying, I'm only participating with this company. And if I do participate with another, or just if I handle something outside of that company on my own, I'm gonna, let the locality know.
Right. Okay. All right,
All right,
thank you.
so then let's move on to the 3% deduction. That was the other change, right? The omission we struck 24-131B and then wrote this new B. So we just finished talking about the other one, but the striking of
Right.
the other one.
So that portion,
Yeah.
that's a may, so you can choose to keep that in there. You can choose to remove it as proposed. That's that commission that's collected and the locality, or I'm sorry, the intermediary gets to keep that commission, or if the person's not using an intermediary, they get to keep that commission themselves.
Well,
Again, so that was presented, just looking at the totals there, it's around $6,600, not a significant amount. However, again, with technology now, it seems a lot simpler, and I think it was a token when the ordinance was first made. It was a token to people that were having to do that administrative work. That seems to be a lot less invasive now. So that was just an option that I presented, saying, hey, do we want to keep that in there? Do we want to take it out?
right, because most of it is now, I guess you say probably the majority of it is going back to the intermediary, not the,
You can make your own assumption, but.
okay. Got it. All right. Mr. Buchanan, you got anything to say on this one? No. Okay. Anybody else from the board, anybody?
I just had one thing I wanted to add, because Hannah and I had some discussion about this. I don't bore you to death, but part of that code section for the rate you can set for TOT, you are required to consult with your TOT advisory council. In this case, we have a TOT committee. There's an email in your packet. Tracy sits on that committee. I don't know if any of you are on that committee. I think they seek business people and financial people that are on that committee, but that's just for the record that that was discussed, and you can see their feedback. While they overall understood, general consensus was they like to see it go back in tourism, which the law requires. But we did consult them, and that is part of the record.
All right. So questions from the board for Brian or Hannon?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very well. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, back to the board for further discussion or a motion.
This is a public hearing,
that's
Mr.
right.
Chairman. I'm sorry, I
Did it
just
again.
wanted to, no, sir, you're fine.
Okay, to the public. Chuck, stop shaking your head, man. Without an audience, I'm lost. Okay, to the public for public comment. Nothing back there, Federico? Very well, then we will close public comment and come back to the board for further discussion or a motion.
I just move that we accept this transient occupancy tax proposed ordinance of 2026-11.
I'll second.
Very well, we have a motion and a second to approve the transit occupancy tax proposed ordinance 2026-11. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. All right, no old business, new business, 4th of July celebration MOU. Mr. Weekly.
Yes, recently, Mr. Gordon, myself, Ms. Warren, and then Hannon had some conversation about this item for several years now, and I should have got the year where we kind of started it. We have provided a contribution for the 4th of July event. Now, if that venue decides to use it for certain things, they can, fireworks or any part of that celebration. That money does come out of the TOT fund, so it's budgeted every year as part of your budget process. but it is tot funds that are used for that. So tourism that's generated at this event, those dollars are being used to support that event and attract people to the county. Ms. Warren, who does a great job, as you all know, and works with our auditor, we kind of felt a little uneasy. Maybe we need to have something on file that specifies how, these funds are used and so forth. So we agreed. We gave that over to Hannon. He's done a good job putting it into form of the funds, and it would be recognized, as the MOU says, that, yes, this is an MOU between the county and Grays Mountain Farm and Lodges. It's understood in this MOU that the appropriation that's allowed for this event would be part of your annual budget process. So just like anything else, it's not a guarantee, it would be a commitment through your budget process. So Hannon, and before I turn it over to Hannon, I have spoken with Grays Mountain Lodge, specifically Lynn Graves. They were given a copy of us. They're fine. They wanted to know when can they sign us. Well, let's see what the board does Tuesday night. But they had no concern with the MOU as drafted. So, Mr. Wright?
Sure. And this was one where it's something that's been going on, and this is essentially a memorial to what's been happening and what's going to happen in the future. I guess I'll just give you a little bit of my thought process behind it. One is I didn't love the idea of us being the one to pay for fireworks, just because of the, I'll say, liabilities that could go for that if things went wrong. So the idea was, why don't we just make it an amount certain? As long as they're hosting the event, they can have it. This doesn't obligate us beyond one fiscal year. Next year, we could decide not to do it. We can change the amount of money. We can increase it. We can decrease it. So there's not an ongoing obligation for the county. The other thing I was, curious about was whether or not they charge a fee. This is open to the public for free. That was important to this. And then we've got a statutory authority to do it so long as you all think that this is a boon to the county in terms of, I'll say, tourism and culture, that this would be an appropriate expenditure. I think that's, and then he's already spoken to where the funds are coming from. I think those were all the things I was sort of thinking about going into this, but happy to answer any questions y'all have, either on the language itself or anything else.
Questions for Mr. Wright?
No, sir.
Not so much for the, not so much for the language, but so is this going to be, I kind of heard you say what I think are you going to say. This is going to be ongoing until we do it a different way.
So, there's a termination part that just says, for any reason, with at least 60 days' notice,
Roman numeral
one
5.
can terminate it, and then if we go up a little bit higher, it's year to year, it's successive one-year terms. So the default would be is it would just sort of renew itself unless 60 days or prior before the 4th of July, we let them know that we didn't want to. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, somewhat. And so you did bring up something else. So do they charge? Do we get anything, do we get anything back out of this?
We get nothing monetarily from this, and I think, my understanding is Graves Mountain doesn't charge for attendance to the public. They just have vendors, people can go to dinner there if they want, things like that is my understanding of it.
Yeah, so if folks come up specific to this event, meals, lodging tax, food and beverage tax, all of that, yeah, thank you for that. Now, nonprofit, but it is a large fundraiser for the fire department. They handle traffic and parking. So there are things either on the nonprofit side that benefit, or the county does via, any sales tax or meals tax.
So when they they do charge for parking and that goes to?
No,
So-
parking is donation-based only. So you decide if you want to voluntarily give money to the fire department or not. There is no ticket, admission fee for this event.
Yeah, they got the boot out there. You throw some money in the
I
boot.
got you, okay.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been there, because I don't like fighting the crowd, but, and secondly, so does it, Do we ever give any money to anybody else? For example, we're gonna do, hopefully, I guess, Ball Top. They do the same thing, kind of thing. Do we give them money?
We don't for a Fourth of July event. My answer to that question would be if we give the money anywhere else, you go at your budget time and all your discretionary spending, if you will, would be similar. So we give money to other nonprofits as well, which is discretionary money. The only difference I would say in this, it's TOT funds that is used for tourism per the state code that's in the MOU.
What else from the board? You got something? No?
No, it's a good investment. For $8,000, you're spreading the benefits around
And
to
no liability.
nonprofits, some of our other vendors, so, and it brings a lot of attention to this county, which is what we need for tourism.
All right, very well. Is there any further discussion? I entertain a motion to approve the 4th of July celebration MOU with Graves Mountain Farm and Lodges.
Well, I guess I'll, go ahead, Joe.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the MOU between Madison County and the Grays Mountain Farm and Lodges for the
Second.
4th of July fireworks, sorry.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the 4th of July celebration MOU with Graves Mountain Lodge and Farm and Lodges. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, who was the second on that?
Nancy.
Nan.
All right, so we have struck number 6, number 7 on the agenda, large-scale outdoor event permit application. Mr. Weekly?
Yes, this is for, let me pull up this is for the Fourth of July celebration. So anytime you meet that over 750 estimated attendees, it goes to the Board of Supervisors for approval. If it was in that, I think, 300 to 750 range, it would be done administratively by the zoning administrator after the first response agencies had comment. First response still sees this and provides comment. There are no issues there. It's pretty standard. They have an incident action plan they develop year over year, even though they look at it differently every year, there is a plan. So staff has no concerns about this. Again, it's an event that happens every year. It promotes tourism, so, but it is required for your approval because of the threshold number of attendees.
All right, questions from the board on this one? Yes?
Yeah. It's just a comment. So they have to ordinarily plan on this ahead of time. And I was just, as we're looking through this, I gotta wonder why we wait until a week or 2 weeks to approve something like this before this actually happens. I mean, is there not any kind of a time frame that we should probably approve this a month or two ahead of this, so they know whether or not, I mean, I'm sure we're gonna approve it, but, you know, just saying.
So I
We're
would,
approving this 2 weeks or a week and a half before this actually happens.
yeah, I would say we would like to have more time, but not being unfair to Graves, we'll have another one coming to you at your joint meeting in July, because we just got it today and the tractor pull's already been advertised. So we like to have it in advance. This whole thing started as a reactionary to, I believe, the hair scrambler, the motocross event that was done. So the idea was at least the county be made aware, so you know from a constituent standpoint, but definitely from a public safety standpoint. That's why this ordinance wasn't in effect. But yes, we would, for any of these, like to have it in advance.
I'm just saying, what about if we didn't approve it and they've already got everything ready to go?
That's not on the county, but,
I'm just
yeah,
thinking that we probably wouldn't, but just saying.
right. Yeah, and that would be, my reply would be for any of these applications to have them in advance.
Just a comment.
Yeah.
It was you're referring to the monster truck, yeah.
I think it does have a deadline.
Yeah, there's like, I think, was it a 45 day? Is the statute.
They have to turn it in 45 days, and we have like 20 days to get it back to them before
Yeah.
the event.
But if we've done 100 of them, 97 of them don't meet that.
Yeah,
Right.
understood. I mean, we're
Including fireworks. I mean, we get
we're
those
Madison
sometimes.
County, you know. come on.
Right. The biggest thing for us, again, going back to the purpose of that ordinance, was first response to make sure, hey, are you guys, you know, do they have the liability, the insurance? Do you have any concerns? Again, that doesn't mean to not care about your concern of turnaround times and approval, but that's the basis of it, is to make sure first response is okay and there's no objections.
This one is easy. This one's muscle memory. We've been doing this one for 30 years, or 40 years probably. But it's the one that comes in that, you know, somebody wants to do an air show at Hoover Ridge. You know, that we need that time to plan for that, because the things that could happen, may happen, will happen. We have to be able to identify that as best we can.
Or rodeo.
100%.
Well, we do have two more we're gonna be looking at, so that was just one. What about if at some particular point we didn't do it? You know,
That's,
they've already
yeah,
got it planned and-
it's your purview, and if there's a certain message you'd like us to carry back, I certainly can do that when these applications come in beyond that time. I think to Mr. Yau's point, that's why we get them before you, even though they come in later, is, okay, you know, but do we at least have comments from our first response agencies? But your point's duly noted, sir.
Cause there could be a drought.
Right, that's what I was thinking. It could be where you cannot be able to do that. I mean, if we hadn't had this little tiny bit of rain that we've had, I mean, it's pretty dangerous.
There have been years.
You have canceled?
We've had fires break out up there. We park brush trucks all over the blast site, if you will, for that very reason. Because even if it's been raining, it doesn't take much to light field grass on fire.
Right.
It just doesn't.
Okay, very well. Anything further from the board? All right, then entertain a motion on the large-scale outdoor event permit for Graves Mountain Farming Lodges.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that the board approve the large-scale outdoor event permit application from Graves Mountain Farm and Lodges for the event scheduled for July 4th.
Very well, we have a motion,
Second?
have a second. So, any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. Let's see, Mr. Wright, we got 3 firework permit applications, and should we do this each separately, you think, or could we do them in total? Or- Although I guess we go to Brian, find out.
Just if they've been approved.
I think it-
Yeah,
similar to the appropriations, I think if you wanted to pull them out and
okay,
because you thought there might be some controversy in it, that
All right.
fair to do, otherwise you could do it all together.
all right, thank you. Mr. Gordon,
Yeah. well,
given the,
We are in a drought. The rain yesterday did nothing. Currently we're in a D2 drought, extreme. We are dangerously close to being in a D3 drought, which is just another step up on their measuring total pole. Right now, the KBDI is fluttering around 500, which is ground moisture. Right now, it's not a huge deal because the moisture, humidity in the air keeps a lot of stuff from going up. There's no way to enforce a burn ban on the 4th of July. If we do, they're just gonna do it anyway, just to be blunt about it. The best thing that we can do is be prepared for it. Having these applications come in, knowing where these events are, being able to say, okay, if we're at Graves, we have something happen here, how are we gonna respond to those type of things is big. And we have 3 here, I will guarantee you there's gonna be 30 in the county that night. Everywhere you go, you see fireworks popping off. Everybody goes to South Carolina or Pennsylvania, whatever, to do it. I mean, we all know what happens. There's very little we can do about it. The best thing we can hope for is storms come through the evening of, to put moisture on the top. Now, there's nothing, it's not gonna affect the groundwater. It's not gonna affect the drought status. My biggest concern right now is not right now. It's going through August with no rain, going through September with no rain, hitting fall in a D3 or worse. You're gonna be messing with levels where we were in '23 if we do that, and we all know how that ended.
So I think back to your question, Mr. Chairman, unless there's a particular reason you have concerns from one of the 3 applications, you could approve those as a group.
well, let's see, I noticed we've got all the requisite paperwork in here with the certificates of liability insurance and all that stuff. All
It's
the
fair to
boxes have
say
been
they're on
checked.
each dates as well. So
Right.
one's on the second, one's on the third, one's on the fourth,
Oh,
if that
yeah, we got
helps.
that going for us, don't we?
And the good thing, one of them starts at 9:30 a.m.
What?
Nice.
Yeah.
You gonna go to that one?
Well, that's what the application says.
Okay. All right, so is there anything from the board, can we entertain a motion to approve the three fireworks permit applications that are on the agenda?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
I motion that we approve the firework permit applications for A, B, and C.
all right. Very well, we have a motion. We have a second.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve all three fireworks permit applications, Graves Mountain Farm and Lodges, Ball Top Brewery, and Rapidan Baptist Camp. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. All right, next item, the August 27th legislative meeting. Mr. Weekly?
So, Mr. Chairman, I guess I could have easily put this on as old business, but we have talked for some time, either during the budget process when we were setting goals and priorities. One of your goals and priorities was, legislative priorities, if you will. And at your last meeting, I believe it was, and lead efforts by Supervisor Jewett, was to, and he is your VACO rep, by the way, your voting member, was to establish a date in the near future where you can invite your state delegation, your federal delegation. So we've reached out to state and feds. Our two state delegations, Senator Reeves and Delegate Hamilton, have confirmed August the 27th at 4 p.m. We have extended that offer to Congressman Vindman. It's a little more strenuous of an application process to get approval of a congressional member, but we have offered that. Mr. Jewett, unless I'm misremembering, correct me, I wanted to ask about the venue here tonight. I think maybe the fire hall was suggested. So in case if I remember that correctly, I did reach out to Ms. Link, who schedules the firehouse, and they do have us penciled in for the 27th. I did tell her I would call back to confirm that, but at least pencil it in. So I'm open to one, if you want the 27th, if you can vote, because that will mean setting a meeting for you all. I have made Ms. Graham aware of this, and our constitutional officers as well will be invited. But the venue, you would also have to. So the date, the time, and the venue is what I need to hear from tonight, and any other logistics or people that you would like present at that meeting.
I think that you mentioned food.
We could provide food. It's not unaccustomed if you're having like a working meeting. We can get food, whether you want like sub platters or something, deli sandwiches. We certainly could do that, because 4 o'clock, some people may not have ate lunch, or some people, they may get a little exhausted talking legislative, and they can eat during it. So
That's a nice
Buttload of food, huh?
Yeah, I know, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if we feel compelled to move it to the fire hall, then I'm assuming that means we're expecting a boatload of people.
And I just don't know how many would.
well, now this is me, I don't speak for a
Yeah.
supervisor. You certainly can conduct a meeting as you do here in your auditorium. If you want it more of I feel like I'm an interior decorator, an intimate setting, like we used to have with school board joint meetings. They set up like a rectangular where you can sit around, kind of a round table, except it's a rectangle. I know it's an oxymoron. But that gives you a more intimate setting. There's nothing saying, and with all due respect, I'm not saying let's eliminate public attendance. It's a public meeting. But there's nothing saying you have to have seating for 100 or 500 or 1,000. So, we would make seating available there. As you may recall, there were times you held meetings there when this building was being renovated between here or the War Memorial. So that would provide you a different setup. But certainly it's your choice on venue. You just let us know. So part of the advertisement, we need to know date, time, and location. And the overall agenda, but I think legislative platform is the agenda.
Well, it's a public meeting.
Yes,
and
sir.
I would not discourage any member of the public who wanted to come to that meeting and
Right.
voice whatever. Of course, we're gonna have it structured like our regular meetings where we do what we're gonna do formally, and then we have public comment period with, of course, limitations. As far as refreshments, I mean, we could have light refreshments, just drinks or something, whatever. Mike, you can pick out the menu.
Thank you.
Yes, I knew you did it. Or without, providing basically an entree meal, whether we're talking about, that might be more appropriate.
What time do you want it to start? That makes the difference too.
Well, I think our
The state
representatives are
legislator
kind
said
of,
4 PM.
4 PM, so it's early for dinner,
right.
so.
So we can do light, we can do water, and like I normally would for budget, I can go down to Yoder's and pick up some things, not 2 things of oatmeal cookie, we'll try to diversify, but we certainly can do that. So I just, again, what are you
Yeah,
feeling
that's
about
fine. 4
location?
o'clock, that's good.
What are you feeling about location? What's your,
I think the fire hall.
Yeah, I think the fire hall with the ability to put the tables
Table around.
around.
And we can have a projector too, so that with a screen, because I'm envisioning us doing maybe a 10, 15-minute presentation of our board's position, legislative positions, and, have like EMS come in and do 5 minutes on paramedicine, blah, 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 blah. And then that way we can formally start the discussion. And then we'll have however long the discussion period will go.
what I've asked, I haven't asked this or requested this of the constitutional officers yet, I will do so. But I definitely have for department heads such as EMS, please prepare a white paper type of summary. We don't want to do word salad where you're throwing words on an easel. We want to make use of your time and the legislators' time, because I know as we've kind of been coached before, Mr. Jewett and I have been in some of these meetings, is, have it a little more developed. Yes, we're meeting early, which is good, so we're not dropping this in November, but have it a little more defined. So I know Gavin and his team are prepared to do that. I did speak with Anna today and suggested the same thing, but I will do the same of constitutional officers if they have any legislation. I would encourage, I've passed, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll talk about this at number 10 when we get there.
Right.
So are we fine with August 27th, 4 PM, Fire Hall?
So we've got Ms. Hamilton and Mr. Reeves at 8:27 at this point.
They're confirmed.
committed. Okay.
Yeah, we have got
Yeah.
that confirmed. And we put, again, we put that invitation out for Congressman Vindman.
Right.
We're just waiting to get confirmation.
All right.
So it looks like the consensus up here is, 8:27 at 4 o'clock at the fire hall.
All right. And Mr. Wright, I guess because this is not one of our regular business meetings, should we advertise this as a special meeting? All right. Thank you, sir. So we will advertise as a special meeting. My understanding, your agenda format, you'll do your call to order, all that. You'll have public comment, then you'll have your legislative, we'll call it legislative priorities. And then we can have anything else a public comment period, and then adjournment.
Okay?
Also, just wanted to mention, since we did have reps at VACO from the 2 U.S. senators, would it be worthwhile to try to reach out to their office? They
Absolutely.
may actually send those folks out here.
Absolutely. Good suggestion.
They might come.
Gina already has that date, right? But Karen's coming, Gina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, just for your consideration for that legislative meeting, to the extent, if you decide to have a public comment period, maybe have a public comment related to legislative priorities and then have set time limits on it. But just make sure whatever it is, it's uniform.
Yeah, I know, I was thinking about that too, Hannah. At Greene County, when you go over to Greene County, you sign up, right, Chuck? Now, I don't know whether we need to go that far, it depends, but perhaps if we see floods of people coming in for that thing, we might put somebody at the door and say, just sign up or whatever, but, okay. But,
That's a good point. We need to keep it.
yeah,
I think Albemarle, Charlottesville, is similar. And I
Yeah.
think they might even limit the number of speakers.
yeah, we've,
Limited to writing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we've never done any of that stuff. We don't stop you. from
It just
speaking
needs to
every
be, to
minute.
Ms. Wright's point, it just needs to be uniform. So whether it's a
Right.
sign-up sheet or you give the ground rules verbally, you know, each speaker's allotted 3 minutes. And
Yeah. Okay. All right.
so we will get that advertised, so thank you for that.
All right, next item is the VACO report. Mr. Jewett, you want to take that?
Okay, Ms. Sharman and Mr. Weekly and I and Jim Smith attended the VACO regional meeting for Region 6 and 7 on the 17th over in Greene County. And we're in Region 6. Regions 6 and 7 stretch from the northwestern part of the state all the way to like King George, Caroline County. Right, there's a belt that goes through the middle. Includes us, Orange, Fauquier, Culpeper, et cetera, Spotsylvania. All of the localities got a chance to speak, and of course, the common theme, as you can imagine, is that they're really opposed to any loss of local control in land use policies, which we know has been, or at least there have been attempts to alter that at the current General Assembly and also pending in the future General Assembly session next year. And VACO went over some of these bills, and they're actually in the handout that you received. Number 3 there, this is something that I hadn't never thought about, but my understanding is that this is somewhat of a pervasive issue in our region of Virginia, but the Stafford County reported that the military exemption on property taxes is costing that county $32 million this year. And with the exemption for elderly residents, it's $40 million a year. And VACO was talking about looking at proposals to get the state to replace this local exemption with a state credit coming out of the state treasury so that it is not burdening localities. And this might be something that we want to take a look at in the future. Other thing was data centers, electric transmission policies, some of the things that have been surrounding that. Orange County obviously is fighting that 765 kVA line that's being planned. Another major topic was collective bargaining, and obviously everybody there was vehemently opposed to collective bargaining as to what it would do to their local budgets and taxes. The VACO reps did state that the collective bargaining law, there's going to be one in the future, and what they're attempting to do is to work with the General Assembly members to try to, I don't want to use the term mitigate, but to have a bill that comes through that is not going to do the damage to localities that could be done with a collective bargaining agreement. They did express appreciation to all the localities, which included Madison, that petitioned the governor to veto the bill, which she did. And we also, and during our presentation, we mentioned our primary legislative initiatives. One is we'd like to look at state and federal legislation that supports soft billing for the EMS department so that we could bill for services, non-transporting services, to help offset some of our extensive costs in that area. Impact fees, this is one that's originated out of Madison, and it's starting to gain some traction to support impact fees that would support local government public services that result from converting agricultural land into residential land and increasing the need for public services. That, a year ago, was an absolute no-go. This year, they're actually taking that seriously, looking at a policy formulation. I know Delegate Hamilton was great helping us this year, and she's committed to helping us resubmit the bill this year. So we just need to keep going back and going back. We might get something out of it eventually. And then one other thing that was mentioned by Greene County that we shared, and it's asking the state legislature to better define what actually agritourism is. Because right now the definition allows too much leeway or interpretation that could be used to try to circumvent local zoning ordinances. And once we start talking about that, other localities, we're starting to nod in agreement that that's something that does need to be better defined at the state level. It is a potentially big problem for localities, particularly our rural areas. But that was just a really brief summary. Not to, again, you tend to look far ahead, and it's storm clouds on the horizon, but there are some bills that were defeated this year that are probably going to rear their ugly heads in the next session, 27, one of which we were all familiar with, and that was to allow by right multifamily housing on all commercially zoned land. That did die this year. My guess is we'll probably see it again this year. But there's another sleeper in that legislative session, and I actually was brought to my attention back in January, and that was House Bill 412. It died in committee, fortunately, but I understand it's coming back again. That would tie local government's hands on school budgets, because what it would mandate is that if the school board came to the county, for example, if the Madison School Board said, we need for the county to give us $20 million this year, the county has to appropriate that money or even give them more. The county can't say, no, you got to cut that back. So that's huge, and I think that if that ever gets closer to possible passage, that you're going to see some real pushback on that, which I believe we do, because that's really talking about usurping local taxing authority. That's exactly what that bill does. So if you look at the legislation that was introduced this year, some of it really scares you. And those are just things that VACO's trying to stay ahead of, we're trying to stay ahead of, and I'll let Ms. Sharman make some comments, but VACO is an organization we have to be active in. Ms. Sharman, did you want to kind of add, this is your first meeting?
Well, we did go down to Richmond back in January or February, but I think we share in so many of those issues. The bad news is we share in those issues. The good news is that we're not alone. Does that make any sense? Because there's so many things that I feel like we're battling all by ourselves, because we're this little county over here, but each county is battling the same things. And one of the county's big quest was what to do about the mental health of their county and how strapped we are now with mental health, where, we cannot have anyone admitted to a hospital. Everyone has to admit themselves, but nobody in that state of mind realizes that that's what they need, or would they go, and we don't have the little helps. I mean, they're like they said, I'm not talking about a 100-bed hospital. Can we have someplace that just has 10? So we can just help a few, that was one of the counties. But actually, it was all that, the county saying, stay out of our land use. And they're concerned about their DSS, they're concerned about water, they're concerned about private water again, the collective bargaining, battery storage, rural roads that are in bad shape. Land use again, education tax, collective bargaining, taxes being raised. Adult Protective Registry, CSA funds came up a couple times. And then the shift of mental health to prevention. So anyway, the same things. So if we can just decide what are the most important ones that we saw that day or heard of that day, maybe there's a half a dozen. And maybe those are the ones that we could really hone in on and pay attention to, and get the other counties saying the same things, and we might get attention then. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Well, sounds like we got a start anyway.
But it was really
Yeah.
a great meeting, and Gina came because Delegate Hamilton was in Washington DC with Cameron that day, and so that was good, but that was really a nice venue. And I had never been to that part of Greene County, but we were treated very well there. But, so anyway, there you go.
Yeah, and, you know, and one thing you did jog my memory on is that there was significant comment about the changes in DSS for child case intakes where they're centralizing that in Richmond, and the detrimental effect that that's probably gonna have on a lot of kids. So,
Can't have that.
I don't know I don't know who came up with that idea, but anyway, that was another issue. But, you know, one of the things that I love about VACO is that, for example, in this meeting, we had mostly red counties represented, but, you know, we had blue Fredericksburg, and we all say the same thing. We're all on the same page. It's one of the most bipartisan groups that I've ever worked with. So anyway,
Mr. Daniel.
Informational purpose on, I think vote 3, where Stafford's really concerned, I think it's like 8% of their, real estate budget that's, I don't even know if that's affected. We're at one, we were below 1% for quite a few years. We've passed 1%. We're at 1.3% of our, annual real estate revenue that's affected by the disabled veterans. Elderly is pretty insignificant. We just don't have a lot of participation because it's a deferral, and it's an income and asset-based deferral. So there's just less participation than you may see in other localities where they fully exempt or partially exempt real estate taxes for those folks. So, just informational on
well,
that.
thank you, because I was gonna ask you about that in the near future.
Yeah. Little I know.
4 cents they raised taxes this year, 4 cents just to cover that.
Yeah.
There's a few other things I want to mention. Some of these things either occurred or could come back. Cannabis is something that's in this budget bill. I've been combing through the budget bill. I haven't gotten through all of it yet. I have some questions for you to propose at the regional meeting tomorrow, because there's some wage increases provided in the budget bill. CBA is something that will come back, even though, and I do plan on, unless the board says not to send a thank you letter to the governor, since, you know, you authorized me to send a letter. I did on behalf, and as Mr. Jewett specified, I think it was 70% of the counties or so issued similar letters to the governor, encouraging her to veto. So I'm a firm believer. I'm sure you can appreciate as elected officials. Usually you hear it and you hear it good, but you need to hear appreciation as well. So I plan on sending a letter for that. They did pass.
Do that.
They did pass an emissions tax. They allow localities, if they want to, charge that. So think of, if you have a ticketed event, a locality could send a emissions tax up to 10% of that emissions. That's something that there's an ad hoc, I guess you can call it, Mr. Jewett, committee that are looking at other, it's a revenue task force, I guess you could say, work group. So that's something that we'll take up, but that provision is there. You would have to basically enable it via ordinance, hold a public hearing, decide if you want to do it and what percent. There is a locality, I forget which one. I've got a paperwork somewhere. There's a locality near us, or at least makes up part of Plan District 9, that has a emissions tax, and I believe it's at 2%. And then in this budget bill, if the governor signs it, she has until the end of this month, the additional 1% sales tax. So you may remember the school board sent over I don't know if it was a letter of support or recommendation, asking the Board of Supervisors to please support that. If that is your mission, then if Governor Spanberger signs this budget, time is going to be of the essence to pass resolution and to get that on the ballot, because that is a voter referendum. When they created and enabled the statute, it didn't give you by right the ability to do it without a voter referendum approval. So there is certain, and you're going to hear that tomorrow, Supervisor Yao, the statute and the time. Last time, there was a question about sunset provision. It's my understanding of the language, if the voters do approve that referendum and you enable the ordinance to allow for that additional 1%, which can only be used for school construction. So that's either new or renovation. We were not given the additional provision, such as Planning District 8, that gets to add that for use of transportation. So they are the only other planning district that got additional provision. Ours is hanging around school construction. So that will be mentioned tomorrow. If that's something this board wants to go forward with, then I'm gonna put together a timeline. I'm gonna talk to Mr. Wright. We'll read through that budget language. I'm gonna talk to the registrar to make sure we fully understand. But far as sunset provision, getting back to that, I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked. It's pretty much written that either it would be, bond or loan determines if it's set to a specific date, because you always have an amortization schedule. If it's not a project that is bond or loan funded, then 20 years is your maximum. So it's an either or, depending on how you finance that. So that is how the budget bill is currently drafted. Again, assuming Governor Spanberger will sign this bill into law soon, then I will get with the folks I just mentioned and put together a timeline as well as the language that's needed for the referendum. And then you all will give direction and we'll take the appropriate action to get that on the ballot. So, Mr. Chairman, can I have a consensus if we're still moving towards that?
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say a little head nod here on whether we would support this for school construction. Okay, I think everybody's in agreement. Until she signs.
And just a comment, Mr. Chairman, didn't mean to interrupt you, sorry.
No, that's it.
I had a conversation with a school board member this week who is lobbying very aggressively for us to push this on the referendum. And my response was that it'll go on a referendum because the voters need to decide, but we are trying to put together a use case model. And I need to talk to Ms. Warren. Is she in this week? Is she on vacation?
She is in this week.
I need to contact her. I need to contact Mr. Timmons at the school. I need to get some numbers, and then I'm going to get Jim Smith to help me put up some use cases so that if a citizen comes to me and says, should I vote for this? And if I do, what's it going to do to my taxes? And I want to be able to say, well, based on these projected scenarios, if we adopt the 1%, your real estate taxes for school construction will probably not go up at all over the next 10 years, or they might go up 3 pennies. This is hypothetical. If we don't adopt it, your real estate taxes may go up 10 cents the next 10 years to finance school construction. But we need to have informed voters, and I just don't want to throw this out there and say, yeah, let's do it, it's wonderful. It probably is beneficial, but I want to be honest with people and transparent and let them make their own decisions. So we need to be able to answer those questions, and I think if we can't answer those questions, we really have no business advocating for it. That's 1 out of 5's opinion. Just wanted to mention that.
Agreed. Yep. Anything further? Yeah, there's some work to be done on that, but.
I'll get on that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I know we're on a tight timeline.
So, Brian, there's no way we can get any numbers on where the sales tax comes from, is it? Or it's.
Just the gross,
Huh?
gross amounts.
Yeah, we know what the gross amounts are, and I guess.
I can give you the difference, I think I can give you the difference, but, so if it's online sales versus retail sales, I could get that to you.
It's not groceries though, right?
No.
It is partially,
It's partially, it's not, food and what is the,
now you still get the 1% for food. You get,
right,
right.
it's not hygiene and something else.
Oh, right.
I believe when we discussed it as a group, me, you, and Ms. Murray, I believe 1.7 was the number, because that's what the 1% is bringing now. So an additional 1% theoretically would bring you another 1.7 million.
Yeah, I'd like to try to figure out a way to know how much of that is coming from transient.
Okay. I see where you're
people
going.
versus, you know,
Is there a way to,
That's gonna be a
I don't know how
Yeah,
you
We
can.
can
that-
do it, we can estimate it.
yeah.
Yeah, I could probably give an estimate.
Yeah,
based on
okay.
Something like that. We made some kind of methodology to accumulate the numbers.
Right. Okay. All right, thanks, Brian.
I'd also would encourage the board, I know I sent a lot today, and I apologize, or yesterday. Mr. Jewett and Ms. Sharman and I received this hard copy of the VACO Legislative Summary 2026 First Edition. I circulated that around in electronic form. There's also a link that was provided in that email that you can track updates as this goes through. What I like about this is that they not only put forth what passed, they also put forward what was continued, like in a work group, a study group, or what failed. And the one bill you spoke of, sir, was a failed bill, but it's one that I highlighted in the email because it's out there. And a lot of these bills, they probably on their fourth or sixth rendition. It is definitely important to be involved, and I thank you for your involvement. Madison County, this is no throw at you guys. Heck, I used to sit up there. We haven't been at this level for a while. And I think it's important, it's good, and I think it's being noticed. So that's a good thing for Madison County.
Okay. So discussion, do we have any discussion? Anybody else got anything for discussion up here? Information?
Information correspondence, Ms. Sharman may want to plug our local event.
Oh, yes, yes. Don't want to ever miss that opportunity, right? Okay, so July 2nd at the library lawn, right outside here. We're going to start at 5 o'clock, 5 to 8:30. And we have a full agenda, absolutely full agenda. No mess ups, nobody can go over time, that's for sure. But I just want to encourage everyone to come. And the only thing we're asking you to bring is a chair. And ask anyone, just ask people to come. We've got this whole thing planned, and we've spent, since February 10th, I think was our first time we heard about it here at the board. And so we worked diligently, every month, every other week, every 3 weeks, whatever it's taken. But now, time's up. It's time to party, right? And come with an appetite. We have lots of really great vendors, too. Is there something else we need to add? We've got Minutemen. Come on, Judd, you're supposed to help me out here. Yeah.
No, I think it's gonna be really educational. We have the Culpeper Minutemen coming, and we were part of Culpeper when that was going on, so they're gonna be walking around the crowd. They're gonna have a little speaking time too. We have our elected officials are gonna be there. We have Austin Boggs, who's gonna be the musician playing, which he's amazing, and he's a local talent. And just, we have, Cardi's gonna have his hat on, his 4th of July hat on, and Independence Day hat, and speak as well. So we're gonna have a real good time. It's gonna be fun.
So is there a
The
beer
library's-
tent I can hit before that?
The library's gonna be open, and also the Historical Society building here at Kemper is gonna be open as well.
Right. So don't forget to wear your red, white, and blue. That's colors of the day.
Okey dokey. All right, any other information correspondence?
Mr. Chairman, Jonathan, were you gonna say something about the,
Yes, sir. So, Ms. Schneider, I've had some good conversation. We've had some challenges with this back projector. Unplugging and plugging, it's not the final solution. So we believe that's on its last leg. Mr. Berry's prepared to come, the first of the month you're meeting, you always have director reports. I've asked him to be prepared to speak on that, but I'll give you a little cliffhanger now. Do we want to go back with the projector? I know renovations, we spent the money, put the screens. We were thinking about introducing the topic of 2 TV monitors on either side of the auditorium. Some localities use them. That doesn't mean we have to be other localities. They're decent size, and that allows you to view as well as the public to view those TVs. So just food for thought when Alan comes in on July. We're going to talk about that. This one is very temperamental. I think the last time it came on, I was in one of my subcommittee assignments, so it's not, it doesn't always work. And we realized that's a lot easier for you to look at versus looking at that. So, I mean, I'm thankful the public has the one that they view, but we need to have another media source. So if you like the TVs or you want to go back with that, Alan's the guy to discuss that with on your July meeting.
I think the problem with TVs are though, you're gonna have two big TVs that are hard surfaces. We put up all this acoustic tile, so you're gonna might have a problem with acoustics as opposed to a screen, which is more flexible.
Yeah, I like this, I like the setup we got right here, but that's, because back in the day, that's what we had on both sides, so you got people out there sitting there.
Well,
like this,
that
people
was
out
even
there sitting-
worse. It was projected onto the wall.
Onto the wall, oh, yeah.
yeah.
But I'm saying the angle of it was,
Yeah.
it's like after 3 hours, sitting in here like this.
So I'll ask him,
Yeah.
I'll ask him to be prepared of, what the cost is to fix that, the time, the turnaround to get similar, or implementing, the other option, and that way you
Right.
could choose. I'll see if he can provide a visual rendition of what it would look like. So,
Right
it's,
now, I put it on the screen anyway, up here,
right.
so I don't have to look at that underneath it.
But it's not readable anyway. I don't care what you do.
No, but Mike had a good point on that one. Oftentimes, like Mike
In
brought
a
up.
planning commission or a joint
Change it.
meeting, sometimes we will
Edit.
edit ordinances. So it is good for that. Or in a workshop setting, excuse me, not a final ordinance, but in a workshop setting, sometimes we are wordsmithing.
Correct.
We ought to do hologram projectors, so we can see 3D layouts of these plots, and you can have citizens have 3D projections of themselves griping at us, and we can just hit the delete key, and they're gone. So it's something to think about.
I am a
IT
Marvel
guy.
fan. That sounds like Stark Industries, but, yeah.
Okay, well, I guess we're down to public comment now. Is there any public comment? There we go. All right, very well, we'll close public comment. We have no closed session, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.